How detached do legislators in Sacramento have to be to propose a voluntary do not sell list? Perhaps detached enough from the population to have to cite studies from a psychiatric clinic in order to make their case. This is Senate Bill 320. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. That is right, the legislature continues to heat up after we had a slow start to this session. The focus today is Senate Bill 320 and the voluntary do not sell list. To walk us through that, we have brought back our legislative director here at CRPA. You can also find him on AM 590 The Answer every Saturday at 1 o'clock for the Firing Line radio show. That, of course, is Rick Travis. Rick, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, before we get into it today, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. It really helps get the information out there so that people can know what we're fighting. After all, we also advocate against these bills, and the effort needs to be enormous. So the more people that watch this, the more potential we have for advocacy against it. So please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the videos. It really helps. So let's just dive on into this one. Let's look at the legislative digest. Jacob, if you can pull it up for me, it reads like this. This bill would require the Department of Justice to develop and launch a system to allow persons who reside in California to voluntarily add their own name and subsequently remove their own name from the California Do Not Sell list with the purpose of preventing the sale of transfers of a firearm to the person who adds their name as specified. The bill would allow a person to add their name to the list by submitting specified information to a sheriff or municipal police department and would require that sheriff or municipal police department to verify the information and send it to the Department of Justice. And of course, as always, I'm going to mention this every time, you guys, by imposing additional duties on local law enforcement, this bill would impose a state-mandated local program. So I guess just to demystify this a little bit, because I've already gotten some questions in the field about it, the potential for somebody else to add your name to the do not sell list. Obviously, there's always going to be some bad actors at play, but the way that this is written, if you look in the actual text of the bill, not the legislative digest, it does pretty explicitly state that you yourself can add your name to the list, and then it would be on the police department or the sheriff to verify with you that you did that. So the actions here are by you. There doesn't seem to be any ability here for somebody else to put your name on that list. But Rick, if I can bring you in here for a second, before we actually talk about Senate Bill 320, let's talk about the fact that we've already kind of done this before. We had Assembly Bill 29 last year in the 23-24 legislative session, which basically was proposing the same thing. It was for the government to create an internet-based program for people to put themselves on a do not sell list. Can you remind us of what happened last year in the legislature and how that bill was defeated?
Yeah, it failed. People kept pointing out we have a budget crisis. It's ongoing. So there were budgetary issues. And so there were a lot of ways that we were able to remove that bill from play. One of the things I think that people need to realize is where this bill is coming from, the basic arguments of the bill, and how it's very easy to defeat.
Yeah, and we're going to try to do it again this year. So I guess fast forward this year, there's a little bit of a different element connected to it this year. Jacob, if you can pull up this fact sheet. Senator Lamone, who proposed 320 this year, put out a fact sheet, and it reads like this. From the background, it takes a little bit of a side-angled approach, starting off with this. Suicide death rates continue to rise every year, making it one of the leading causes of death in the country. A study by the University of Alabama surveyed 200 patients at an inpatient psychiatric unit and 2 outpatient psychiatric clinics and found that nearly half of the participants would willingly place their name on a voluntary do not sell list. And then a little bit further into the purpose, she states, SB 320 aims to enhance firearm safety and provide individuals with the means to proactively restrict their own access to firearms. California should follow other states in enacting the prevention of this measure. So already a couple of weird things here. First of all, you're talking about, you're basically saying that 50% of people would willingly do this, but you're then saying that you're taking it from a survey who not only only surveyed 200 people, but they surveyed 200 people at psychiatric clinics. I know that I'm reading a lot here. Bear with me, guys, because I got one more thing I want you to look at from this article here. Jacob, if you could pull this up as well. So you're referencing the study done in Alabama. I found this from al.com. The article is Alabama study supports voluntary do not sell lists to prevent gun suicide. And it states Frederick Vars, a person at the University of Alabama School of Law, said about 46% of 200 people involved in the survey said that they would be interested in voluntarily participating in the program. Here's the important part, guys. Vars presented the patients with two options: a voluntary sign-up and removal from the list with a 7-day wait period, and an option that requires judicial hearing for removal. The option without the judicial hearing won the most support. So let me get this right. You're basically presenting somebody with the option of, would you rather eat dog poop or would you rather eat barbed wire? And then 50% of the people said that they would rather eat dog poop. So then you go out and write an article saying that 50% of people prefer to eat dog poop. I mean, is this really the standard that we are holding Sacramento to? How is it that Senator Lamone gets away with putting out a fact sheet like this to support legislation that she's put forward?
Well, they all do it. And this is part of our job, is calling them on the carpet for it. I mean, first and foremost, if I said I was going to do a survey of any group of people who were declared mentally incompetent, nobody wants to read that survey.
Right.
And yet that's exactly what she's using. And the choice was more like, hey, would you volunteer not to get your hand smacked, or do you want me to have the court order you to get your hand smacked? Well, even insane people would rather make their own choice than have somebody else make it for them. So it's no shock. If you also look, that survey was done in the state of Alabama. The 4 states that currently have this law are the state of Washington, Utah, Virginia, and Delaware, not Alabama. So this didn't even pass muster in Alabama. It's not going to pass muster here. One of the things that she's really looking for is for the average person to say, can you put me on this list that contains criminals who are on the do not sell list and the criminally insane on do not sell list. I like to put myself voluntarily on that list. And oh yes, she says you can take yourself off the list, but no, you can't, because that's a lie. In that same law, Kevin, it's clearly stated the record of you being on that list and then asking to be pulled off is permanent. So you're permanently on the list. You're never actually pulled off. You're pulled off in the sense that you could, if the law enforcement agency approved it, go purchase a gun. But there's a process that has not been clearly defined. We do not know how onerous it's going to be. I guarantee you it would be. And that's going to be forever used against you. And where I see this being a problem is people could hold this as an option over other people's heads for jobs or for this or for that. Like, hey, you got to go do this if we're going to engage in whatever it's going to be. So this will be abused. It will be misused, and it's not what it's there for. And look, a lot of people that unfortunately take their lives or do some of these heinous things. I mean, she also goes in and says, in addition, mass shootings continue to be a national concern. In that fact sheet, she's trying to make it like, but if we had this, those wouldn't have happened. None of those people from the Adam Landas on down have ever testified, Kevin, if I could have put my name on a list, that would have been my first thing. Nope. So this is, again, it's a stretch. It is there to basically entrap people and go after them. We have a couple bills like that in the Capitol, and this one's pretty doggone egregious.
So, I mean, you're kind of indicating that, there's a high likelihood that we defeat this bill. Are there any signs that you see in Sacramento that, the people who usually vote on the other side are not really taking this? What makes you confident in that?
I think the part of the confidence is right now people are being forced to have to look at budgetary issues. I mean, we have in other spaces a Medi-Cal program that needed $6 billion in loans just to make it through the end of June of this year. So there's more billions that are going to have to be borrowed. And we're seeing that in program after program after program. As the national look into where budget monies are going, we have a failed train project. We have a lot of things that are happening right now in California that the legislatures have to take budget serious. Both the Speaker of the Assembly and the Senate have barreled down on that. A lot of the in-party fighting is over budgets. And oh, by the way, this is going to require money to make this happen. This program doesn't exist. It requires money on a Department of Justice that is not able to do stuff. And there is a DROS fund that they're saying, oh, well, just take it from the account. But it's kind of some of our legislators, like Senator Lamone, remind me of when all of us were little kids and we would say, we had $10 allowance, and we're like, Mom, Dad, can we go buy this? Yes. Can we go buy this? Yes, but we can't buy both. Why? You can't spend that same money twice. These are people that think you can spend that same money 100 different ways to Sunday. And so we are holding them accountable for that. And as a result of that heightened watchdog of the California electorate, I think this is fairly safe to say we're going to be able to stop this bill. But with a caveat, it will be back next session. This is going to be one of those zombie bills that we're going to have to fight for several years.
Well, yeah, needless to say, it doesn't get defeated in the first place without the advocacy. I know that you're up in Sacramento doing that. We're going to be on the one-click politics as well. We still need to let our legislators know that we do not want this sort of bill passed. And as far as being another zombie bill is concerned, that kind of leads me into my last question. What's the path look like for this? Any pertinent dates coming up? We're off to a good start here. We got AB 1333 killed already this year. If we're confident looking at this one, what's the path forward that you see?
This bill will be testifying on the 25th, which is next week, and we'll be seeing what we can do in public safety to get this bill removed.
Well, sounds good. Like I said, we'll certainly be there for the advocacy. I know that you're going to be up there doing it. And Rick, I know you're a busy guy, so I want to thank you for coming on today. Thanks for taking the time to explain this to us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, one more time, if you like content like this, you want to continue seeing it, you want it to go as far as it possibly can go, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the videos. It really helps get the information out there so that everybody can understand what we're facing in Sacramento. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.